The questions that I would be asking myself for anybody watching this video would be, number one, to identify what was the most challenging period of your life. What was the most trialing time that you have lived through? The second question to ask yourself is, why was that a challenge for me? Why was that particularly hard? It's only when you uncover why that was a challenging period that you can start to actually look at the root causes of where that adversity came from. The third question to then ask yourself is, if that period or if that event happened for a positive reason, what would that reason be? I'll say that again. If that period or if that event happened for a positive reason, what would that reason be? When I was 18 years of age, my brother passed away as a result of drug use at the age of 21. And that was 4 days. You know, Tom passed away on a Friday. I started my first business on the Monday. So that introduction to business for me was incredibly challenging, as it is for anybody starting a business, dealing with those stresses and the inadequacies and, you know, being out of your comfort zone, all the stuff that comes with starting your own business, compounded with dealing with the grief of my brother that had passed away, and I'd never had anybody that close to me pass away. So it was all a new experience for me. And if this happened for a positive reason, what would that be? And it was when I found an answer to that question that helped me progress toward acceptance over something that otherwise could have been relatively traumatic for me throughout my entire life. You know, another example is with my first business. You know, in the first sort of 3 years of business, I was incredibly challenged because I was never any good at business initially, right? I had to learn everything through trial and error. So when my first business failed and then I sort of got it out of trouble and closed shop and walked away when I could, I asked myself the question again, if that period of my life happened for a positive reason, what would that be? And the answer that I came up with is that it gave me a whole bunch of experience. It taught me a lot about what not to do. It taught me a little bit about what to do. But most of all, it gave me the emotional fortitude that I required in order to get a seat at the table in the bigger game of business that would come later on in my life. And then the fourth question to ask yourself is, how did that circumstance help me become more of who I am today? Because it's when you identify that that adversity occurred to teach you lessons and give you the strength of character required to be who you are today, that you will have resolved whatever happened back then and actually move forward with more confidence and certainty than ever before. You know you've done it right when you start to look at the hardest thing that ever happened to you as the best thing that ever happened to you. When you can start to look at that event or look at that period as the greatest gift you've ever been given, that's when you know you've done it right.